This play is called Our Town. It's written by Thornton and produced by Eating Troupe at Patrick Henry College. In it you'll see Mr. Butterworth, Mr. Adams, Mr. Lamp, Miss Wasson, Miss Wiley, Miss Sickfoos, and many others to your mention. The name of our town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just over the line from Massachusetts, latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. The date is May 7th, 1901, just before dawn. Just about. This guy's beginning to show some streaks of light over the east there, back in the mountain. Morning star always gets one for bright before it has to go. Well, now I'll show you how our town lies. Over here is Main Street. Cutting across on the left is the railroad tracks. Just across the tracks is Polish Town. You know, 40 people that come here to work in the mill, a couple of Connect families, and the Catholic Church. Congregation Church is over here. Presbyterian's across the street. Methodist, Unitarian over there. And Baptist is down in the holler by the river. Along Main Street, there's row of stores, kitchen posts and horse blocks in front of them. First automobile is going to come along in about 5 years, along the Bank of Carlisle, our town's richest citizen. There's the big white house up on the hill there. And here's the grocery store, Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look in these stores once a day. And this is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. Here's his back door. Here are a couple trellises for those that feel they have to have some scenery. This is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. In those days, the newspaper came out twice a week, the Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is Edward Webb's house. And this is Miss Webb's garden, just like Mrs. Gibbs, only there's a lot of sunflowers too. And back here is a big butternut tree. Nice town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever came out of it, as far as we know. The earliest dates on the tombstone say 1670. There are Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as around here now. Well, as I was saying, it's early morning. The only lights on in town are in a cottage over by the tracks, where Polish mothers just had twins. And in the Joe Cole house, where Joe Jr. is getting ready to deliver the morning paper. And in the depot, where Shorty Hopkins is getting ready to flag the 545 for Boston. Here she comes. So another day has begun. There's Doc Gibbs coming down Main Street now, coming back in that baby case. And here's his wife, Mrs. Gibbs, coming to make breakfast. You know, Doc Gibbs died in 1930. New hospitals named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died a long time ago, in fact. She went out to visit her daughter, Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio, and died there, pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's up there in the cemetery now, and with home next to Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hershey before she married Dr. Gibbs in the Congregational Church over here. In our town, we like to unpack them. And there's Mrs. Webb. Come down and make breakfast as well. That's Doc Gibbs. Got to call to the Polish town about 1:30 this morning. And here's your call. We'll do Mr. Website.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Joe.
Want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it.
Anybody been sick, Doc?
No, pair of twins over in Polish town. Joe, I hear your teacher, Miss Foster, is going to be married.
Yes, sir. To a feller over in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, it ain't none of my business, but I think if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Fine, Doc. I never think about it at all. Only like you said, it always tells me it's gonna rain.
What's it telling you today? Going to rain?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
There's something I gotta tell you about that boy, Joe Cole there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated from high school here, head of his class. So he got a scholarship to go to Boston, MIT that is. Graduated head of his class from there as well. Saw him written up in the Boston papers at the time. Gonna be a great engineer, Joe was. But then the war broke out. He died in France. Yes, sir. All that education for nothing. What this is, Joe, I taking a flight with the Germans we can't make out to this day. It all seemed perfectly clear to us at the time.
Get up, Bessie!
And there's Howie Newsom, delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Oh, morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
A pair of twins over to Mrs. Goroslavsky's.
Twins, eh? This town gets bigger every year.
Going to rain, Howie?
No. Fine day. We'll burn through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the trip. Ever since the Lockharts stopped taking their quart of milk every day. She wants a little one just the same. Keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Good morning, Hallie.
Good morning, Miss Gibbs. Doc's just coming down the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late today.
Hey, yeah, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Doc?
Howie?
Children! Time to get up! George! Rebecca! Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can have a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Oh, Mrs. Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what it's about, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's to become of you. I wish you could get away someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good. Emily, Wally, time to get up, 7 o'clock. I declare, you've got to speak to George. Something seems to have come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. Can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George! Rebecca! You'll be late for school! George!
George, look sharp.
Yes, Paul?
Don't you hear your mother calling you? Guess I'll go upstairs and take 40 winks.
Wally, wash yourself up good or I'll come up there and do it myself. Ma! What dress shall I wear? Don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs to sleep. I washed and ironed the blue gingham for you special. Oh, Ma, I hate that dress. Oh, hush up with you. Ma, every day I go to school looking like a sick turkey. Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice. Mama, George is throwing soap at me. I'll come up and stop the both of you. That's what I'll do.
We got a mill in our town, too. Gary? Next blankets. Cartwrights on it. You're burning the fortune.
Now, children, I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal. Stop gobbling down like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Wally, put your book away.
But Mom, I have to know all about Canada by 10 o'clock.
You know the rules as well as I do. No books at the table. I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me like 25 cents a week's enough for a boy of your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, Ma, but I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates. That's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been thinking of gradual. Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then. Mom, do you know what I love best in the world? Do you? Money. Eat your breakfast. There's the first bell, Mom. I gotta go.
Now walk quickly, children. Don't run. Wally, pull your pant leg up the knee.
Thomas Foster, I sent you my best congratulations. Can you remember that? Yes, Ma. You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet. No, you go away. You. What's the matter with you? Fight. That's all you ever do. You don't belong to me. Where did you come from? Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
So go back. Take me and give me my throat. Told Charles I didn't know if I'd go to choir rehearsal tonight.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and stay on key. Well, I'm resting. I thought I'd string some beans.
Let me help you. Beans have been good this year.
I'm convinced to get down 40 quarts if it kills me. Children say they hate them, but I notice they get them down all winter long.
Myrtle, I've got to tell you something. Because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
What do they give?
Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First I thought he was a patient wanting to see Dr. Gibbs. And he wormed his way into my parlor. And Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Winthrop's Savoy as I'm sitting here.
Why, Jenkins!
He did! That old thing. Oh, it was so big I didn't know where to put it. And I almost give it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know. $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on a trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. Oh, it sounds crazy, I suppose. But for years I've been promising myself if we ever got the chance.
And how's the doctor feel about that?
Well, I did beat about the bush a little the other day. I told him if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take it.
What'd he say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he said, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he said. He takes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War every 2 years, and that's treat enough for anybody, he says.
Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb has a good mind to give up Napoleon and move on over to the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs, the greatest expert in the country, just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing it all out like we was going to buy it.
Well, Julia, if that second-hand man is really serious about buying it, you sell it. Then you'll get to see your Paris friends. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me like once in your life before you die, you ought to see a place where they don't talk in English and don't even want to.
Thank you very much, ladies. Now we'll skip a few hours. But first, we want a little more information about our town. Kind of a scientific account, I'd say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to sketch a few details from past history here. Professor Willard. May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University. Just a few brief notes, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners lies on the old Pliocene granite of the Appalachian Range. It's some of the oldest land in the world, and we're very proud of that around here. There have been some recent outcroppings, though. Sandstone showing through a shelf of Devonian basalt, as well as some vestiges of Mesozoic shale. Yet these are comparatively new, perhaps 200 or 300 million years. Some interesting fossils have been found, I may say unique fossils. 2 miles north of Peckham Farms in Silas Peckham's cow pasture, These may be seen in the museum at the university at any time, but that is, at any reasonable time. Would you like me to continue with Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, with facts on mean precipitation, etc.?
Very well, have time for that, Professor. We might have a little more information about the history of man here.
Anthropological data?
Yes.
Early Amerindian stock, Cotahuachi tribe, no evidence before the 10th century, now entirely disappeared, but perhaps traces in 2 or 3 families. 17th century migration of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock. Since then, Slav and Mediterranean.
The population, Professor.
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment.
The current population is 2,642. But the postal district brings an extra 507, which makes the total 3,149, holding birth and mortality rates steady, of course, by McPherson's gauge, which is 6.032.
Thank you very much. We're all very much obliged. Now the political and social report. Editor Webb, or Mr. Webb.
He'll be here in just a moment. He cut his hand while eating an apple. Charles, hurry up, everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is editor and publisher of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's a local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen, all males but up to the age of 21, and women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling of professional men, and 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 12% Democrat, 4% Socialist, the rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, rest indifferent.
Do you have any other comments about our town?
A very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most, probably a lot duller. Our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settled down right here to live, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is anyone in the audience who'd like to ask Editor Webb a question about our town? Yes, ma'am.
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, I don't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down in Ellery Greenhouse stable and holler some. And we have 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bite, you know, always was.
Is there no one in town?
What was your question again? Come forward where we all can hear you.
I said, is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh yes, everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I suppose we're all hunting like everybody else for a way the diligent and sensible can rise to the top and the lazy and quarrelsome sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. In the meantime, we do what we can for those that can't help themselves. Those that can, we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Mr. Webb,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not the sex you mean. Come to think of it, we have a couple of girls that play the piano over at the high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there ain't much culture. But maybe this is a good time for me to tell you that we have a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We all like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning, and we observe a good deal about the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them, and we watch the changes of the seasons. Everybody knows about them. But as for those other things, you're right, ma'am. There ain't much. Robinson Crusoe and the Bible and Handel's Largo, we all know that. Whistler's Mother, but that's about as far as we go.
Thank you very much, Editor Webb. Now we'll get back to Grover's Corners. It's 2 o'clock. All 2,642 have had their lunches. Dishes have been washed. Children have gone back to school. There's a buzzing and a humming from the school buildings. A few buggies on Main Street. Horses, those and pitching posts. You all remember how it was. It was an early afternoon calm about the town. Doc is in his office, tapping people, making them say ah. Mr. Webb over here is cutting his lawn. 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower.
I can't, Lois. I got to go home and help my mother. I promise.
Emily,
walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Mrs. Forrest.
You go out and play in the field, young man. You got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Well, I was really supposed to talk about the Monroe Doctrine. But at the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I could just see your head at night when you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still that long. You must like school.
Well, I just figure it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Yeah. What do you say, Emily? We might set up a kind of telegraph from your window to mine. And maybe every once in a while you could give me a kind of hint or two on one of those algebra problems. I don't mean the answers, Emily, of course not. Just a little hint.
Oh, well, I think hints are allowed. Well, George, if you get stuck, you whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I just figure it's the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can come out and work on his farm. If I'm any good at it, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string some of these beans. My. George Gibbs certainly had himself a real conversation now, didn't he? Well, he's growing up. How old would George be?
Oh, I don't know.
He must be about 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today. That was very good.
Okay. You must recite it for your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, are these big enough?
A little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question serious?
Seriously? Not serious?
Seriously, will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Why, of course you are. Both my children have fine features. Be ashamed if they hadn't.
Mama, that's not exactly what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
Emily, I've already told you yes. You have a nice, young, pretty face. Never heard of such foolishness.
Mama, never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was. It's the prettiest girl in town next to Mamie Cartwright.
Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get people interested in me?
Emily, you charm me so. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes.
Mama, you're not help at all.
Now, I think it's a good time to tell you that the Cartwright's interests have begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont to get the marble, sorry to say. And they asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. Of course, we're putting a copy of the New York Times and a copy of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. You know, we're awfully interested in this because the scientific fellows have found a way of painting all all that reading material with kind of glue. Silicon glue that'll make it keep 1,000, 2,000 years. So we put in a Bible, a copy of the Constitution of the United States, and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it. And all we know about it now is the names of a few kings, sales of slaves, and the copies of a few wheat contracts. Yes, every night, family came home, sat around the table, smoke went up the chimney, same as here. And even in Greece and Rome, all we know about the real lives of the people is what we can make out of them. Joking poems and comedies they wrote for the theater back then. So I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone, so that people 1,000 years from now will know a few facts about us, more than the Treaty of Versailles, the Limburg flight. See what I mean? So that people 1,000 years from now will know that this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, and in our marrying, in our living, and in our dying. Now we'll get back to Grover's Corners. This evening, you can hear the choir practice going on in the Congregational Church. Children are home doing their schoolwork. The day is winding down like a tired clock.
Must be the tide that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship of kindred hearts is light to the above.
All right, now do it again. And ladies, remember, music was brought into this world to bring pleasure. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, please get it out of your heads that music has to be loud in order to be good. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them, even if you wanted to. Now again, tenors.
Emily!
Hello.
Hello!
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Can you give me a hint, Emily?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? What do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh, square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
Square yards of wallpaper.
Oh, square yards of wallpaper. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on. I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train whistle all the way to Kentucky. Hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I'd better go back and try to work.
Night, Emily.
Good night, George.
We shall stare, rejoice and heart, but hope to meet again. Amen.
That's better, but it ain't no miracle. Now, before I forget about it, how many of you can come out on Thursday and sing at Fred Parsley's wedding? Show of hands. That'll be fine. Now, let's go on to Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Languid. It's a question, people. They can talk.
So George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Paul?
Remember on Sunday to take that second verse real soft and sort of die out at the end. Ready, everyone?
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only keep you a minute. George, how old are you?
Me? I'm 16, almost 17.
And what do you want to do when school's over?
You know, Paul, I want to be a farmer.
You'll be willing, will you, to get up early and milk and feed the stock? You'll be able to hoe and hay all day?
Sure I will. What do you mean?
Well, George, while I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? It was your mother, chopping wood. There you see your mother, getting up early, cooking meals all day, washing and ironing, and still she has to go out in the backyard and chop wood. Guess she just got tired of asking you to do it. Just decided it would be easier to go out and do it herself. And you eat her meals, and put on the clothes she keeps nice for you. Then you run off and play baseball like she's some hired girl we keep around the house but don't like very much. I knew all I had to do was mention it to you. It was a handkerchief, son. George, I have decided to raise your allowance 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's sort of a present you give her. But because you're getting older, and I imagine there must be a lot of things you want to spend it on.
Thanks, Paul.
Let's see. Tomorrow's payday. You can count on it. Rebecca will probably feel she ought to have some more, too. I wonder what could be keeping your mother. Choir practice never was as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Paul.
I don't know why she's in that old choir anyhow. She hasn't got any more voice than an old crow. Traipsing around the streets at this hour of the night. Well, isn't it about time you retired?
Yes, Paul.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster. Real nice choir practice, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everyone. Good web. Look at that moon, baby. Potato weather for sure.
Well, naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of those others. And now that we're alone, really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Simon Simpson.
No, Luella.
Oh, but Julia, to have the ordinance of church, drink, and drunk year after year.
Luella.
Oh, but Julia, you know he was drunk tonight.
No, Luella, we all know about Mr. Stimson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson chooses to keep him on there in his job, the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it. But it's getting worse. No, it isn't, Luella. I've been in that choir practice twice as long as you have, and really, it's not as near as bad as it used to be. Oh, really, I hate to go to bed on such a night like this. Children will be waiting up till all hours. Good night, Luella. Good night, Julia.
Good night, Myrtle. Can you get home safe, Luella?
Oh, yes, it's as bright as day. Why, I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the windows now. You'd think we'd been to a dance the way the men folk carry on. Well, good night, Julia.
Good night, Luella.
See you on Sunday.
See you then. Well, we had a real nice time.
Oh, you You're late enough.
Boy, Frank, it ain't too late for you, bro.
You stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of hens.
No, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell my heliotrope in the moonlight. Come on. Isn't that wonderful? What did you do all the time I was away?
Oh, I read, as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there's something to gossip about.
Simon Stimson far gone, was he?
Worse, I've never seen him. All that in, Frank. Dr. Ferguson can't go on forgiving him forever.
Well, I guess I know more about Simon Stimson's affairs than anybody in this town. Well, some folks just ain't made for small town life. I don't know how it's going to end, but there's nothing we can do. Just leave it alone. All right, get on here.
No, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to make plans for you to get a real rest and chase. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, no sense in going over all that again.
Oh, Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, Julia. It's getting late. First thing you know, you'll catch cold. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. You'll have your wood chopped for a while anyways, I reckon. Now, start getting upstairs.
Oh, there's always so many things to pick up, seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairtown locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're all getting citified, that's the trouble with them. They haven't got anything fit for burden and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one at this window.
Let me look a minute.
Use your own window.
I did. There's no moon at my window. George, you know what I think, do you? I think maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and someday there'll be a big explosion.
You don't know anything. If the moon were getting near, then the men who sit up all night with telescopes, well, they'd see it, and they'd tell us about it. It'd be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on Canada and South America and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
9:30 in town. Most of the lights are out. There's Constable Warren, around a few doors on Main Street. And here comes Editor Webb after putting his newspaper to bed.
Good evening, Bill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a moon.
Yeah?
All quiet tonight?
Oh, Simon Stimson's rolling around a little. Saw his wife go out to hunt for him, so I looked the other way. Here he comes now.
Oh, good evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Good evening. Yes, Simon, the town settled down for the night. Guess we'd better do the same. Can I walk with you a ways? Good night.
I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
He's seen a peck of trouble. One thing after another. Oh, Bill, if you ever see my boy smoking cigarettes, give him a word, will you? He looks up to you, Bill.
I don't think your boy smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Leastways, not more than 2 or 3 a year.
I hope not. Well, good night, Bill.
Good night.
Well, who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I just can't sleep yet. The moonlight's so wonderful. And Mrs. Gibbs' heliotropes, can you smell them?
Yes. Having any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
George, I never told you about that letter Jane Troupe got from her minister. He wrote her a letter while she was sick, and on the envelope it said, Miss Jane Croppett, The Croppett Farm, Grover's Corners, Suffolk County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's so special about that?
I wasn't finished yet. United States of America, the continent of North America, the Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
Yep, and the postman brought it just the same.
What do you know?
That's the end of the first act, friends. You can go out and smoke now. Those that smoke. 3 years have gone by. The sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit more. And the rains have brought down some dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before have begun talking regular sentences already. The number of people who thought they were right young and spry found they can't go up a flight of stairs like they used to, without their hearts fluttering a little. All this can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of our young people fell in love, got married. Yes, the mountains got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water have passed by the mill. And here and there, new homes set up under a roof. You know, most everybody in the world gets married. In our town, there aren't hardly any exceptions. Most everybody climbs into their grave married. First act is called the daily life. This act is called love and marriage. So it's 3 years later. It's 1904. It's July 7th, just after high school commencement. After most of the young people jump into being married. As soon as they finish their last examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's oration, it seems like they suddenly feel themselves fit to get married. Well, it's early morning again. Only this time it's been raining. It's been thundering and pouring. Miss Gibbs' garden over here, Mrs. Webb's, drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines, drenched. All yesterday over there on Main Street, rain with curtains being blown along. I don't know, they begin any minute now. And there's a 5:10 train for Boston. There's Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb. Come down and make breakfast just as if this were an ordinary morning. Now I have to point out to women in the audience that both these ladies I see before them, both these ladies cook 3 meals a day. One of them for 20 years, and the other for 40. They never had a summer vacation. They raised 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house. They never had a nervous breakdown. Never thought themselves hard used either. Like what one of those Middle West poets said, you gotta love life to have life, and you gotta have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Get up, Bessie.
And there's Howie Newsom and Bessie, delivering the milk. And there's Ike Roll, delivering the paper like his brother before him.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, son. Anything in the paper I ought to know about?
Nothing much, except we're losing about the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corners ever had.
Hey, I reckon he is.
And now, all he'll be doing is pitch and hang.
Whoa, Bessie. Guess I could stop and talk if I've got a mind to.
He can hit, too, and run bases.
Hey, mighty fine ball player.
I don't see how we can get up a thing like that, just to get married. What do you have, Howie?
I can't tell, Si. Never had no talent that way.
Morning, Howie.
Hello, Bill. You're up early.
Morning, Mr. Warren.
Just seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent a flood. The river's been rising all night long.
Si Kroll here's all broke up about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir, that's the way it goes. When in '84 we had a player sign, George Gibbs didn't even touch him. Name of Hank Todd. Went up to Maine and become a parson. Mighty fine ball player. How's the weather look to you, Howie?
Ain't bad. Think maybe it'll clear up for good. Bill?
Howie?
Good morning, Miss Gibbs.
Good morning, Howie.
Too bad about the weather. It's been raining so heavy that maybe it'll clear off for good.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want today?
I'm going to have a house full of relations, Howie. Looks to me like I'll need 3 of milk and 2 of cream.
Yep, 3 of milk, 2 of cream. My wife says to tell you that. We hope we'll be happy. No, they will, Miss Gibbs.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife I hope she gets to the wedding.
Maybe she can. She'll get there if she can.
Morning, Mrs.
Good morning, Miss Webb.
Oh, I might tell you 4 quarts, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, sir, and 2 of cream.
It's gonna rain again, Howie.
Well, as I was just saying to Miss Gibbs, is how it may clear off for good. Miss Newsom says to tell you special that we hope they'll be happy. No, they will, Miss Webb.
Thank you, Mrs. Newsom. Counting on seeing you at church.
Couldn't miss that. We'll get there all right. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Mom, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself, only there ain't a whole lot to shave. He's whistling and singing like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then he says, "I do," to the mirror. Don't sound convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how he'll get along. I've washed his clothes and seen to it his feet are dried and got warm things sewn. They're too young, Frank. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch himself a cold in a week.
I remember my wedding morning, Julia.
No, don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
I was the scaredest young fella in the state of New Hampshire. Thought I'd made a mistake for sure. When I saw you coming down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Only trouble was I'd never seen you before. There I was, in a congregational church, marrying a total stranger.
How do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces. That's what they are. Here, make something for you.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast.
Ain't hard to make. And I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yeah, I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gangling thing. I tell you, Julia, there is nothing so terrifying in the world as a son. The relation of father and son is the darndest, awkwardest.
Well, mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
Well, they'll have a lot of troubles, I suppose, but it's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yeah. People are meant to live 2 by 2 in this world. It ain't natural to be lonesome.
Julia, do you know one of the things I was scared of when I married you?
Oh, go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for conversation more than it last us a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out and have to eat our meals in silence, that's a fact. Well, we've been conversing for 20 years now with no noticeable barren spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather. Ain't very choice, but I always find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring around upstairs?
No. Only day of the year she isn't managing every business up there. She's hiding in her room. I got the idea she's crying.
Lord sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca! Come down and get your breakfast.
Morning, everybody. Only 4 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where are you going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Now, George, you put on your robbers. It's raining torrents. You don't go out of this house without you're prepared for it.
Oh, Mom, but it's just a step.
George, you'll catch Oh, and you can kill yourself in all weather. While you're in my house, you live wisely, thank you. Perhaps Mrs. Webb isn't used to callers at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
That's all right. I'll be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
Morning, George. Goodness, you scared me. Now, really, George, I can ask you to come out of the rain for a moment. But really, I can't ask you to stay.
Why not?
George, you know as well as I do. Groom's not supposed to see his bride on his wedding day. Not till he sees her in church.
Oh, that's just an old superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Oh, good morning, George.
Say, Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Well, there's a lot of common sense in superstitions, George.
Millions have followed it, George. Don't you be the first to find a face of custom.
How's Emily?
Oh, I haven't heard a sound of her.
Emily's asleep.
No wonder. We were up to all hours sewing and packing. Now, I'll tell you what I'll do, George. You sit down and have a cup of coffee with Mr. Webb, and I'll run upstairs and make sure that she doesn't surprise you. There's some bacon there. Don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
Mr. Webb, what common sense can there be in a superstition like that?
Well, George, on the wedding morning, a girl's head's full of clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes. I never thought about that.
Girls acting me I might nervous on her wedding morning.
Gee, I sure wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man that's ever lived has felt that way, George. But it hasn't been any use. Women hope that are built on weddings, my boy. For a while now, they have it all their own. Man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knot's tied in a mighty public way.
You believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Yes, yes. Don't misunderstand me, George. But marriage is a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. So don't you forget it.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you were married?
Well, I had been away to college and taken a while to get settled. But Mrs. Webb wasn't much older than what Emily is. Age hasn't much to do with it, George. Compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
I don't know. Was I going to say something? George, I was remembering the other morning the advice my father gave me when I got married. Yes, he said, Charles, he said, start right off showing who's boss. The best thing to do is give an order about something, even if it don't make sense. Just to learn to obey, he said. Then he said, if anything about her irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. Oh yes, and he said, never tell your wife how much money you have.
Well, I couldn't exactly agree with
So I took the opposite of his advice, and I've been happy ever since. That'd be a lesson to you, George, to never take advice from anyone on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you raising chickens on your farm?
Yes. Uncle Luke's never gone in for chickens very much, but I've been figuring on doing some reading up.
A book came into my office on the file system of raising chickens. I knew you should take a look at it. I'm thinking about starting a small way myself in the backyard. I'm putting an incubator in the cellar.
Charles Webb, are you talking about that incubator again? Really, I thought you two would be talking about something worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boys some good advice, I'll go upstairs.
Now, George, really, Emily has to come down and eat her breakfast. She sent to love, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on her. Hello, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Myrtle, I guess you didn't know about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the caveman, no bridegroom should see his father-in-law the day of the wedding, or hear it. Now remember that.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Not to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know how all this began. This wedding, this plan to spend a lifetime together. I'm awfully interested in how big things like that begin. You know how it is. You're 21 or 22. You make a few decisions and whoosh, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years. And that white-haired lady by your side has eaten over 50,000 meals. How do such things begin? Well, George and Emily are going to show you now a conversation they had when they first realized that, as the saying goes, they were meant for one another. But before they do that, I would like for all of you to try and remember back to when you were very young, and particularly the days when you were first in love, when you were like a person, sleepwalking, and you didn't quite see the road that you were walking on, and you didn't quite hear everything that was said to you. You were just a little bit crazy. Will you do that? Please? Now they'll be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the senior class. And as this is June, he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily's just been elected secretary of church. Alright? Here they come now.
I'm sorry, I can't, Louise. I gotta go home. Bye. Oh, Ernestine.
Yes, Emily.
Can you come over tonight and do Latin?
Oh, I don't know. I would you like to?
Isn't that Cicero the worst thing?
He's dreadful.
I don't know that you have to.
I'll try.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Helen. Bye, Fred.
Emily, can I carry your books home for you?
Why, thank you. It isn't far.
Excuse me 1 minute, Emily. Say, Bob, if I'm late, start practice and give Herb a couple of long howlings.
No problem, George.
I'm awful glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
But you've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, since you asked me, I may as well come right out and say it, George. Goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. Now, I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I've just got to tell the truth and shame it up.
Change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot. And I used to watch you while you did everything, because we've been friends so long. And then you began spending all your time at baseball. And you never stopped to speak to anybody anymore. Not to really speak. Not even to your own family you didn't. And George, it's a fact. Ever since you've been elected captain, you've gotten awful stuck up and conceited. And all the girls say so. And it hurts me to hear them say it, George, but I got to agree with them a little because it's true.
Gosh. I never thought that such a thing was happening to me. Guess it's kind of hard for a fella to have some faults creep into his character.
I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he should be.
Well, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
My father is. As far as I can see, your father is. There's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I think it's the other way around. That men aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you may as well know right now, George, that I'm not perfect. You see, it's not as easy for a girl to be as perfect as a man, because we girls are more nervous. No, I don't know why I said all that about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily,
I can see it's not the truth at all, and suddenly I feel it isn't even important anyway.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before you walk home?
Yes, thank you, I would.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Mrs. Slocum.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What do you have? Why, Emily Webb? What have you been crying about?
She got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. That hardware store wagon almost ran her over. Everybody says Tom Huckins drives like a crazy man.
Here, have your glass of water. I tell you what, you gotta look both ways before crossing Main Street these days. Gets worse every year. What do you have?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily. Have a soda with me.
Well, that's all right.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are 225 horses in Grover's Corners this minute. I'm talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday. And now they're bringing in these automobiles. Best thing to do is just stay home. Why? I can remember back in the day when Dog used to sit out in the middle of Main Street and nothing ever came to disturb him. Here you go. Yes, Miss Ellis. Just a moment.
They're so expensive.
No, Emily. Don't you think of that. We're celebrating our election. You know what else I'm celebrating, Emily?
No.
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend who tells me all the things that a friend ought to be told.
George, please don't think about that. I don't know what made me say it. It's not true at all. You're the...
No, Emily. You stick to it. I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. You'll see. I'm going to change so quick. You bet I'm going to change. And Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
What?
Emily, if I go away to state agriculture school next year, will you send me a letter every once in a while?
Oh, I certainly will, George. I certainly will. Certainly seems like being away 3 years, you get out of touch with things. Maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after a while. After all, Grover's Corners isn't a very important place when you think you're all New Hampshire. But I think it's a very nice town.
Day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything about our town. I know that's true. Emily.
Well, I'll try to make the letters interesting.
You know, Emily, every time I meet a farmer, I ask him if it's important to go to agriculture school to be a good farmer.
Why, George?
Yeah. Some of them even say it's a waste of time. Get all that stuff anyway in the pamphlets that the government hands out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. He's about ready for me to come and take over the farm tomorrow if I could.
My.
Like you said, being gone all that time, and other places and meeting other people, gosh, if anything like that could happen, then I don't want to go away. I guess new people probably aren't any better than the old ones. I bet they almost never are. Emily, I think you're as good as a friend as I've got. I don't need to go away and meet people in other towns.
Well, George, maybe it's very important for you to go and learn all that about cattle judging and soils. Those things. Of course, I don't know.
Listen, Emily, I'm going to make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Paul about it tonight.
Why, George, I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, you were right when you spoke to me earlier about that fault in my character. There was one thing wrong in it. That's when you said that I wasn't noticing people, and you, for instance. But you said you were watching me when I did everything. Well, I was doing the same about you all the time. Sure, I always thought about you as one of the chief people I thought about. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were with. And for 3 days now, I've been trying to walk home with you, but Something's always gotten in the way. But just yesterday, I was waiting for you over by the wall, and you walked home with Miss Corcoran.
Oh, George. Life's awful funny. How could I have known that?
Listen, Emily. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. Well, I think once you found a person you're fond of, and I mean a person who's very fond of you too, and who likes you well enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that's just as important as college is, even more so. That's what I think.
I think that's very important too, George.
Emily,
Yes, George?
Emily, if I do improve and make a big change, would you be, could you be?
I am now. And I always have been.
So I guess this is a pretty important conversation that we've been having. Well, I'll be right back and I'll walk you home. Mr. Morgan, I have to go home to get the money to pay you for these.
What's that? George Gibbs. Do you mean to tell me?
Look, Mr. Morgan, I had reasons. Look, here's my gold watch.
Oh, that's right, George. You keep your watch. I'll trust you, George.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, Mr. Morgan.
I'll trust you 10 years, George. Not a day over. Got all of your shock, Emily?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
I'm ready.
Well, now we'll get on to the wedding. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. A lot of thoughts go into a wedding. We can't fit them all into one wedding, naturally. Especially not if you're wedding at Grover's Corner, where weddings are mighty short of plan. In this play, I take the role of minister. That gives me the right to say a few things more. Yes, for a while now, the play gets pretty serious. You see, some churches say that marriage is a sacrament. I don't know quite what that means, but I can guess. It's like Mrs. Gibbs said a few minutes ago. People were meant to live 2 by 2. This is a good wedding. People are young, they'll be chosen right, and they're from a good state. You know, the real hero of the scene isn't on stage at all. And you all know who that is. Like one of those European fellas said, every time a child is born into the world, it's nature's attempt to make the perfect human being. Well, we've seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. We all know she's interested in quantity. But I think she's interested in quality, too. Maybe she's going to make a new good governor for the state of New Hampshire. That's what Emily hopes. And don't forget about the other witnesses, the ancestors. Millions of them. Most of them set out to live 2 by 2. Millions of them. Well, that's all my sermon. Won't very long, anyway.
Don't know why on earth I should be crying. Suppose there's nothing to cry about. This morning at breakfast it came over me. There was Emily, eating her breakfast, just as she's done for the past 17 years. And she's going out of my house. She suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. She put her head down on the table and she cried. Well, I've got to say, there's something truly cruel about sending girls off into marriages like that. It's cruel. But I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I went into it as blind as a bat myself. Well, the whole world's going wrong, that's what's the matter. There they come.
George!
George!
Yeah! He's scared to death.
We used to have an awful lot of nights in the old days, Roman later. But we're more civilized now. So they say.
George, what's the matter?
Mom, I don't want to grow old. Why is everybody pushing me so?
Why, George, you wanted it.
No, Mom, listen to me.
No, George, you're a man now.
Listen, Mom, for the last time. All I want to do is to be a fella.
George, if anyone should hear you, now stop. Why, I'm ashamed of you.
What? Where's Emily?
George, you gave me such a turn.
Come on, Mom. I'm getting married.
Let me scratch my brother.
No, Mom. You listen. You say Thursday nights. Emily and I are coming over for dinner every Thursday night. You'll see. Well, Mom, you look all funny. What are you crying for? Come on. We've got to get ready for this.
I never felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there, I hate him.
Emily, don't get upset.
Oh no, I don't want to get married.
Everything's gonna be all right.
Why can't I stay for a while just as I am? Let's go away.
Stop and think a minute.
Papa, don't you remember what you used to say to me all the time? That I was your girl. There must be lots of places we can go to. I'd work for you, I'd keep house.
You're just nervous. You mustn't think of such things. Now. George, will you come here a minute? You're marrying the finest young fellow in the world. George is a fine fellow. I'm giving away my daughter, George. Do you think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to. I want to try. Emily, I'll do my best. I love you, Emily. I need you.
Well, if you love me, help me. All I want is someone to love me.
I will, Emily. Emily, I'll try.
And I mean forever, do you hear? Forever and ever.
Come now, they're waiting for us. Now you know it'll be all right. Come quick.
You, George, take this woman, Emily.
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding, don't you? She made a lovely bride.
Till death do you part.
I do.
And you, Emily, take George.
Don't know when I've been to such a lovely wedding. But I always cry. I don't know why it is, but I always cry. I just like to see young people happy, don't you? Oh, I think it's lovely.
Do you part?
I do.
Great. and Mary's Inn, millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, the Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times is interesting.
Aren't they a lovely couple? I'm sure they'll be happy. I always say, happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
This is the final act. This time, 9 years have gone by. Friends, summer 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers coming into town now in Fords. Everybody locks their house doors at night. Ain't been any burglars in town, but we've all heard of them. You'd be surprised though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, lots of sun, moon, and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon, you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue they are. Up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. And if you go way up, you can see the White Mountains in Mount Washington, where North Conway is. Don't forget about our favorite mountain, Mount Loudonauts, right here. Around it lie towns, Jaffrey, North Jaffrey, Peterborough, Dublin, and there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. This is a beautiful spot, mountain laurel and lilacs. I often wonder why people want to be buried in the woodlawn in Brooklyn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Here are the old stones, 1660 and 1670. Strong-minded people that come a long ways to be independent. Summer, people walk around laughing at funny names on the tombstones. I guess that don't do any harm. And genealogists get paid by people who come up from Boston and look up their ancestors. Want to make sure their daughters in American Revolution and another Mayflower. I guess that don't do any harm either. Over here are the Civil War veterans. Iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys. Have a notion Union ought to be kept together, though they'd scarcely seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they wouldn't die about it. This is a new park. There are some of your friends. Mrs. Gibbs, Mr. Simpson, organist at the Congregational Church, and Mrs. Sullivan, who enjoyed the wedding so much. Remember? Oh, and a lot of others. There's Edward Webb's boy, Wallace, whose appendix burst on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, a lot of sorrow has sort of quieted down up here. People just wild with grief about their relatives to this point. Good times, sunny days, rainy days, snow. You all know how it is. A lot of thoughts come up here night and day, but there's no post office. Now there are some things we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something's eternal. It ain't houses, it ain't names, it ain't earth, and it ain't the stars. Deep down, everybody knows that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. All the greatest people on earth have been telling us this for the last 5,000 years. You'd be surprised how quickly we're letting go of this fact. There's something deep down that's eternal about every one of us. You know, the dead don't stay interested in us living for very long. Gradually they let go of hold of the earth and the ambitions they had, pleasures they had, things they suffered, and people they loved. They get weaned away from the earth. That's the way I put it. Weaned away. They stay here while the earth part of them burns away, burns out, and all the time they slowly grow indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Something important and great. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part of them to come out? Clear? And some of the things they say, maybe will hurt your feelings. That's the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser. All those terribly important things kind of go pale out here. And what's left when you've lost your identity and your memory, Mrs. Smith? Now here's some living people. There's Joe Stogler, undertaker, supervising a new May grave. And there's Sam Craig, the Grover's Corners boy, left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard. Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you? I'm Sam Craig. Gracious sakes alive, of all people! I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. Yes, I've been away a long time now. I'm in business out in Buffalo now, Joe. But I was in the East when I got news of my cousin's death. So I thought I would combine things a little and see the old home. You look well. Yes, can't complain. I'm very sad I'm journeying here today, Samuel. Yes. I always say I hate to see it when a young person is taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come here early. My son's supervising back at the home. Old Mrs. McCarthy. I used to do chores for her after school. She had tobacco. Yes, we brought Miss McCarthy here a number of years ago now. Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I had forgotten that she... Of course. Doc Gibbs lost his wife 2 or 3 years ago, about this time. Today's another bad blow for him.
That's my sister Carrie's boy, son Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Son.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe? No, not usual. Most of the bereaved pick a verse. This doesn't even sound like Aunt Julia. Well, there aren't many of the Hersey sisters left now, I suppose. Let me see. I wanted to visit my fathers and mother. Yes, over among the Craigs in Avenue F. He was organist at our church, wasn't he? He drank a lot, we used to say. Nobody was supposed to know about it. He'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life, you know. Oh, did he? Yes, he hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. You can see his epitaph written there. Ain't much of a verse exactly. Why, it's just as good as the music. What exactly is it? I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time. Joe, what did she die of? Who? My cousin. Didn't you know? She had trouble bringing a baby into the world. It was her second, though. There's another little boy around, 4 years old. And the grade's going to be here? Yes. Very much more room among the Gibbses. So they're opening up a whole new section in Avenue B. I see them coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare. The road up here must have been awfully muddy. What did she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth. My, I'd forgotten all about that. Wasn't life awful? And wonderful?
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, I remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the brightest girls ever graduated from high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time.
have you lived on?
Right Smart Farm.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they'd sing a hymn.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Mother Kids.
Emily?
Hello. It's raining.
Yes, dear. They'll be gone soon. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years ago since I... Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Simpson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I turned that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought about you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and a great long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did.
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs? The legacy you left us. Why, it was over $350.
Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on this drinking fountain so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs, and it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. My people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy is spending the day at the Carters. Mrs. Carter, my little boy is spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. We have a Ford too, Mother Gibbs. Never gives any trouble. I don't try though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Being one of them? How long does it...
Here. Just wait and be patient.
I know. Look, they're finished. They're going. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Oh, Mother Gibbs, I never realized before how troubled and how in the dark live persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Troubled.
A little cooler than it was.
Aye. The rain's cooled it off a little.
Those Noise twins always do the same thing. If it ain't rain, it's a 3-day blow.
Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there again. Into living. I feel it. I know it. But just there for a minute, I was thinking about the farm, and for a minute I was there. And my baby was on my lap, as plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
I can go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go back there again. Into living.
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be. But I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one.
I'll choose the day I first knew I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it. And as you watch it, you see the thing that they down there never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that. Our life here is to forget all that, and to think only of what is ahead, and be ready for what is ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had.
Oh, Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No! At least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
But it can't be since I was married. Or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. It's February 11th, 1899, a Tuesday. Would you like any special time of day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
We'll begin at dawn. You remember, it had been snowing for several days. But it stopped the night before, and they began clearing the roads. The sun is coming.
Why, there's Main Street. And there's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes, this is 1899, 14 years ago.
Oh, that's the town I knew as a little girl. Look, there's the old white fence that used to be around our house. I'd forgotten about that. I love it so. Are they inside?
Your mother will be coming down in a few minutes to make breakfast.
Will she?
And your father had been away for a few days, but he got back on the early morning train.
No.
He went out to his old college to make a speech in Western New York at Thornton.
Look, there's Howie Newsom. And there's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
Whoa, Bessie. Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early?
The rest doing a party down near Frozen down by Polish Town there. Got drunk and fell asleep in the snowdrifts. He thought he was in bed when I shook him.
There's Joe Crowell.
Morning, Howie. Morning, Mr. Warren. Morning, Joe.
Children, Emily, Wally, time to get up.
Mama, I'm here. Oh, how young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the fire if you'd like, but hurry. Morning, Mrs.
Good morning, Mrs. Webb.
Very cold.
Yep, tempo low by my bar, Miss Webb.
Think of it, keep yourself wrapped up.
Come on, Bessie.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. Laid it out for you special on the dresser. What snake it bites you?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yeah, it's just been back to my old college in New York State. Been any trouble here?
Just called up to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was.
Oh, it must get in the paper.
Quite much.
Good morning, Mother.
How'd it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Nothing's happened special. Been right cold. Howie Newsom said it's 10 below by his barn.
Yes, well, it's colder than that down in Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I've noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it. Charles, you did remember Emily's birthday. You did get her something, didn't you?
Yes, I have something here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Now, don't interrupt her now, Charles. She's slow enough as it is. Hurry up, children. I don't want to call you again.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I love you all, everything. everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama.
Oh, good morning, dear. Happy birthday to my dear girl. Many happy returns. Some presents for you over there on the table.
Mama, you shouldn't have.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. That there in the blue is from your Aunt Nora. I suppose you can guess who sent that postcard album over. George Gibbs must have gotten up mighty early to bring it all the way over in the cold. Right nice of him.
Oh, George, I'd forgotten about that.
Now eat your bacon good and slow to keep you warm on a cold winter's afternoon. Mama,
Can't you look at me for 1 minute and say you really saw me? Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Your grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs, Mama. Wally's dead too. Mama! His appendix burst on a camping trip to Crawford Notch. You felt just terrible about it, don't you remember? But just for a minute, we're all together. Just for a moment, let's be happy. Let's look at one another.
that there in the yellow is something I found up among your grandmother's things. You're old enough to have it now. Thought you might like it.
This is from you. Mama, it's just lovely and it's just what I wanted. It's beautiful.
Thought you'd like it. Hunted all over. Couldn't find one in Concord. We had to send all the way to Boston for it. Oh, Wally has something for you also. He made it in manual training camp. We shouldn't make a big fuss about it. Your father has something also, so I don't know what it is myself. Here it comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all that was going on and we never noticed. Take me back up the hill to my grave. But first, wait. One little look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and my butternut tree. Goodbye to Mama's sunflowers. Goodbye to food and coffee and new iron dresses and hot baths and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth! You're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?
No. Saints and poets, maybe. They do some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stinson. I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know what it was to be alive. To go about in a cloud of ignorance, trampling on the feelings of those around you. To spend and waste time as though you had a million years. always at the mercy of one's self-centered passion or another. That's the happy existence you want to go back to. Ignorance. Ignorance and blindness.
That ain't the whole truth as you know it, Son Stimson. Emily, look at that star. I forget its name.
My boy, Joel, was a sailor. He knew them all. He used to sit out back on the porch at night and tell them all by name. Yes, sir. Wonderful.
A star is mighty good company.
Yes, it is.
There's one of them coming.
That's funny. Ain't no time for him to be here. Goodness sakes.
Mother Gibbs. It's George. It's George.
My boy, he knew all the stars. He used to say it took millions of years for that little old speck of light to get down here on Earth. It don't seem like a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Goodness, that ain't no way to behave. He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily?
They don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Tori Hawkins down at the depot just watched the Albany train go by. Has the livery stable. Somebody's setting up late and talking. Yes, it's clear enough. There are the stars we know crisscrossing the skies. You know, scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there are no living beings up there. Only chalk, fire. Only this one is straining away. Straining away every day to make something of itself. And the strain is so great that every 16 hours everyone lies down to get a rest. $11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. Tomorrow's going to be another day. You get a good night's rest too. Good night.
ladies, Helen Wiley and Marianne Wasson and Emily Sig.